Explore Tulsa is an opportunity to see behind the scenes of Tulsa's most unique places.
To hear the stories of real people who are doing fantastic things and who love living here.
We look at the people, places, and events that make Tulsa home. Welcome to a few minutes of Exploring Tulsa. It's time for another great week of stories on Explore Tulsa.
The show about everything Tulsa, and we're really glad you're here.
Now, Austin, we begin this week's show with a little dog who's coming to Sand Springs.
Just a little blue dog who has sparked a lot of great art, and we talked with the person who is bringing that art to Tulsa for the first time.
Blue Dog is by George Rodrigue. He was a Louisiana artist, and he started painting to preserve the Cajun history. So his original paintings at the beginning were big oak trees, live oak trees, with people in front of them. He was commissioned to do a book on Louisiana legends, and it was when he was doing the Loup-Garou story, the legend of the werewolf, that he took a picture of Tiffany, his dog that had passed away, and decided to draw her as the werewolf. And he placed her under one of those live oak trees and changed her eyes to yellow, and he had the full moon and the moss draping down, and put a little cast of blue on her, and people called her Blue Dog. He didn't set out to make Blue Dog, it was an accident. And so it took maybe a few years for him to actually start committing to just painting Blue Dog as Blue Dog. It became what he was known for. It's coming to Sand Springs, to the Sand Springs Cultural and Historical Museum, which is at Main and Broadway. And it's a historical building. It says library because it was a library, but now it's on the historic register and it's a museum. And it's coming there in November, and it's staying through February of next year. The artist passed away in 2013, and so George Rodrigue's widow, Wendy, and his son, Jock, will come and do events for us. About 50 pieces of George Rodrigue, some of his later works, which are all in metallic, and it's an interesting story because he actually painted them because he remembered as a child he had polio, and he was lucky enough not to have to be in a hospital. But he had visited the hospital during that time, and he saw children there and the iron lungs and such, and he wanted the children in today's hospitals, children's hospitals, to be able to picture themselves in art as they walk down the corridors. And so he's donated some to the children's hospitals around the country. He has written children's books about Blue Dog, what color is Blue Dog, those kind of things. So to make art more friendly to children, I think. And then the other thing he did was he, through A+ Schools Network, he has brought art to public schools, not just elementaries. So A+ schools think that everyone learns a different way, and so they like to incorporate the arts, whether it be art, music, dance, drama, into all the curriculum. And so in here we often do science and math incorporated, and in PE class they do dance and maybe some math. So we try and have it just in all the areas. This is a fine arts academy. We used to be Central Elementary in the middle of downtown Sand Springs. A few years back, decided to become a fine arts academy because we knew that the statistics say that students learn better when the arts are incorporated. And so that was obviously very important, and we wanted them to feel good about themselves. And so in the midst of that, they built this new building, and it's a piece of art itself. It's a very architecturally nice building, and it has mobiles hanging from the ceiling and things. So that was the agenda to begin with, and it's just a good way to learn. So we've kept it up. I am the only elementary art teacher in Sand Springs. So no other elementary school has an art teacher. First of all, it makes them excited about art because it's a very friendly subject. They love to do it. And if you're excited about art, then you're going to go on and want to learn more about art and then make some connections to other subjects, hopefully. And so it's just, we're trying to propel them to lifelong learners and to love the arts. It's very satisfying. It's satisfying enough that I don't take my lifetime Texas teaching certificate and move back to Houston, where I taught for 10 years. So it's worth being here. This is my hometown, and I want it to thrive, and I want the kids here to be excited about art. Probably the best moment recently was on the stage Saturday when one of my students, who's first or second grade, got up and was just telling all about Blue Dog, and she knew all the answers, and she was thrilled and excited, and that's the kind of thing that gives the teacher goosebumps when their kids really, like the subject and take it with them.
I think I could do a little Blue Dog art.
I think maybe you should leave that to the awesome students at Northwoods Fine Art Academy. They seem to have a handle on it. We wish them all the success as this exhibit makes its way to the Tulsa area soon.
Speaking of students, they may not believe who we ran into for our next story.
Ooh, we're taking a break, but a surprise visitor churns up when Explore Tulsa returns in a moment.
At Video Revolution, the future is now. Behold the beauty of the new Sony 4K High Dynamic Range TV. A true view display producing real-world clarity and brilliant colors with Triluminous X1 technology. Step into the future for yourself at Video Revolution on the northwest corner of 71st and Lewis.
The oils generally consumed for cooking, like vegetable and canola oil, aren't exactly good for your health.
One of the most important factors to consider when choosing a cooking oil is the temperature at which an oil undergoes oxidation, also known as its smoke point.
When an oil reaches its smoke point, the molecular structure can be changed into compounds that are dangerous to consume.
As a rule of thumb, the more refined the oil, the higher the smoke point.
4 healthier cooking oil choices are coconut oil, olive oil, avocado oil, and ghee.
Download our free smoke point chart for exact temperatures these oils and others undergo oxidation at sherwoodwellness.tv.
Thanks for joining us again for more Explore Tulsa. This next story is about being naughty or nice, and we found just the guy who knows the difference.
I know, right? And we found him, of all places, sitting in a workshop with hammers and nails and paintbrushes and a twinkle in his eye.
My great-grandfather was a carpenter for the Rock Island Railroad system. I like to think of my hands versus my father's and grandfather's, the craft, my mother, my grandmother, the working hands. It always appeals to me that when I make something, I feel like there's kind of an inherent genetic memory passed along. At least the ability to do things is in keeping with the past of the souls that you're part of. With my father, with his work, he built homes. Most of Yukon has a lot of tract homes framed by him. Summers were spent coming in and being the dumb end of the tape or the grunt when I was a young kid. He had a refined side to himself, cabinetry or fancy china hutches and entertainment centers and stuff for mostly himself. And he gets a call from a lady who wants a fireplace surround. So we go out. It's a big rocky fireplace. The lady has a lot of shelving and crockery, but she wants this to look as nice as all the shelving does. So we get done measuring, we go outside, and I've drawn it up. And I said, I can do it in 3 parts. We can do the base, the mantle, and the top. It can put together real easy. It's just a box, Dad. When we brought it down, got it stained, installed it, and left, he looks at me and he goes, where did you learn to work like that? And I said, you taught me. He said, I never taught you to do anything like that. And I said, yeah, when I was a boy, you put a tape in my hand, you told me which end to read, you told me to measure twice, cut once. It came from you. And he's driving a little bit silently, and he goes, that's right, I taught you everything you know. I enjoy the carpentry work quite a lot. It's really all I've ever wanted to do, and now that I'm retired, it's a more fun kind of thing. What do I want to make? So I started making canes and turning those, and a few friends really enjoyed them and sold them. And game boards and fun pieces, dice cups and card trays. I designed a throne to set in, drew up the plans, went to a lot of trouble for myself. No intention of selling or having it for anybody else's use. And after I got done with the plans, built my own throne, and it was seen, Bob's your uncle. It just went nutters. And that's starting to take my time building those. Five years ago, a sister-in-law of mine on Facebook sends me a message that she worked at TU. She had a photography contact that needed a fat guy that looked like a Santa. That Saturday it was 25 degrees and 4 inches of snow fell. So it was a perfect day. They got me the suit, I get in the suit, we go out. She showed me a picture with her camera of what she had taken. And my story is, when you're a young boy, you fantasize that you're gonna have a superpower. Maybe you can fly, you're Rubber Man. You get older, you grow up, that isn't gonna happen. But when I saw that picture, I went, holy cow, I'm Santa Man, I have a power. It's just been rolling and rolling and rolling ever since. And that's really our focus right now. Children have to deal with so much that the one thing I take great pride in is what Santa brings to the children is just total innocence, total fantasy, total joy. I don't know anything else I'd rather do. What a fun day today is. Oh gosh, it's just gonna be marvelous.
It's Santa! We found Santa Claus!
We didn't want to say that in the intro because as soon as you saw him on camera, your first thought was, that's Santa.
And we hope you're on the nice list, but since we found him in May, you have plenty of time to get yourself all straightened out in time for this year's Christmas.
You think about that while we take a break, and then we'll come right back with the story we brought to you a while ago, but wanted to revisit when Explore Tulsa returns in a moment.
Like parents have a thing, when it gets too quiet in the home, we're worried. You know what I mean? I don't like silence in the home because it just feels dead.
Silence, that just doesn't feel like a creative place to me.
Turning on music in your house is almost like turning on the lights in your house.
Music makes mundane stuff better. And it's never too late to discover new things.
You just never know what song's gonna come on next.
Silence is probably the enemy of a happy home.
Come hear for yourself at Video Revolution.
Thanks for coming back to Explore Tulsa. Trish, if you haven't noticed, it's hot outside.
And that gets us in the mood for summer activities. So we revisit a story we did a while ago that is perfect as we head into the hot, hot summer days ahead.
Yes, 1983, October of 1983, we met down here beside Court 7.
I was actually running around the LaFortune Park, and I was already a tennis player, and he was playing in a tournament here at LaFortune.
So when she walked up, she was coming from running. I was waiting to play another match here, and we started talking. I said, well, let's get together and run sometime. So that kind of started it up.
Well, I started liking tennis when I was a young kid, and I learned how to play in a public park. I'd ride my bicycle down to the courts and watch people play. My parents ended up getting me some lessons there at the park, some low-cost lessons, and just kind of went from there.
Melissa and David, they just embody this whole facility. They are likable. They are great managers of the parks, our LaFortune Park, and people just like them. They're nice people. They're great tennis players.
My husband and I work together, and it's been a very good fit for us. He's the accountant, and he's also the maintenance man around here, so we always tease because we're kind of in two different departments. He does all the outside kind of things, or the behind the scenes kind of thing, where I get all the glory and recognition as in my job.
I did 30 years of accounting. She did 20 years of elementary education. We both coached at Sand Springs High School, and then a good friend recruited us to come here in 2003.
So when I first came here, the facility consisted of 12 courts, and they were pretty run down. So we just started building programs and developing kids and adult programming, and realized that we wanted to keep it up, and our numbers started growing right away. So the fundraising began right away to add more courts and repair the existing ones we had, and we knew we needed a building, and then indoor courts was the last thing to come. Well, to get kids interested today, it's mostly just fun. Make them have fun at the beginning, and don't make it real difficult, don't make it too boring, you know, and just try to find ways that entertain them, and then hopefully you'll hook the ones that really like it, and they'll keep going on forward.
Gosh, here at LaFortune we have everything. We have so many people that are new to the game, and they are extremely fun to work with because they are what we call just raw. They don't know the first thing about the game, but they want to play, and this is the place to do it because we have so many of those people.
Well, one of the things we do good with our adult programming is we have a lot of just drop in. You know, we don't make them sign up for a lot of things at a time, so they can just come and pay a fee and play for a short amount of time, 1 hour or an hour and a half. And that's been real a good way to lure people in and then to get them hooked on the game. And it doesn't take much from there to really get them wanting to play leagues and get more involved in other kind of tournaments and activities.
The tennis program at LaFortune Park Tennis is the largest, I would say the largest in Missouri Valley. We have more USTA League members than any other country club, park, district for that matter in Missouri Valley.
Yes, we have our little Smashers tournaments for 10 and under, and then we have what's called the Juniors Challenger Circuit, which is beginners, and then we have the Junior Champs tournaments, and that's the Elite Advanced. Then we have some section tournaments. That's Missouri Valley. We're in the Missouri Valley section. That's comprised of 5 states, and people come from all over.
You know, that's one of the best things about our sports, that you can play from 4-year-olds to 99, and then you have to take breaks in between because of this life experiences that happen, and you can always come back to tennis. It's one of those things that will always come back to you as long as you're healthy, and maybe even do it at a little bit moderate than you did as you were young, but it's just a great sport that you can play for all of your life at some level, whichever works for you.
Now, I remember LaFortune Tennis when it was a lot smaller. It was great to see the expansion happen, and we'll continue to watch as they push ahead with new programs and continue to grow.
If tennis is important to you, or you'd like to look at getting started, visit them at LaFortuneTennis.com.
After we take a short break, we meet with a Tulsa company that you'll likely recognize, or at least you'll know their work. We talk a little behind the scenes when Explore Tulsa returns in a moment.
Hi, Dr. Robert Zellner here. For over 20 years, I've offered affordable, convenient eye care in Tulsa. Right now, you can get 1 pair of glasses or contact lenses starting at just $99, or my 2-pair deal for $129. Hey, and as always, the eye exam's included. Walk-ins are always welcome. Glasses are ready in about an hour. Plus, we have over 2,000 frames to choose from. We're open 7 days a week. Come see why we're voted Tulsa's best. And our drive-thru at 69th and Memorial makes pickup simple and easy. For the best eye care value in Tulsa, Dr. Robert Zellner and Associates.
Sony and Video Revolution take you there. From space travel to world championships. Tomorrow's technology today. 4K smart TVs and the largest flat screens available. Now more than ever, you have the best seat in the world when history is made. Video Revolution. On the northwest corner, 71st and Lewis.
Hey, thanks for coming back. Now, Austin, if I said break a leg to you, what would your reaction be?
I think I'd be very offended. I thought we were friends.
Well, we are, silly, but I now know that we need to add a little culture to your life. So pay attention as we meet a group of people who know exactly what break a leg means.
It's interesting. Again, I was down in Little Rock for our Lion King engagement, and I've probably seen Lion King 13 times. The first show of the week, I stood in the back at the end of the show and everybody jumped to their feet, and it made me cry. And I know that sounds corny, but just to see the reaction of the people to see this phenomenal show, and knowing that we, brought it to that town for the first time in the state, actually, it just is really overwhelming. Larry and his wife Kay, who is still the majority owner of the company, they started the business out of their house 35 years ago. And Larry was working at the University of Tulsa and did a lot of the student activities and entertainment. And so it kind of came from that. He was like, if I can, bring entertainment to the campus, I can bring it to Tulsa. And so that was kind of how it started, and just grew from there. And within a few years was doing, Broadway shows, and started, taking on new markets, and just grew from there. When I started, there were 5 people, including Larry Payton, the owner. I've done ticketing, group sales, graphics, data entry, everything entry level, sorted the mail, everything you could think of, and then just eventually worked my way around to every department. The majority of my career, I was the director of marketing, and so handled advertising, promotions, marketing for all of the tours that came through. When Larry passed away 5 years ago, we kind of had to do some restructuring, and I moved out of marketing and into the vice president position. Ed Payton, Larry's brother, was running the company. Drew Payton, who is one of our owners, decided to step away from the day-to-day, and Ed retired last summer. So that's how I ended up in the CEO chair. I wouldn't have taken this job if it weren't for the staff that we have. We have so many people that are so experienced and so talented, and knowing that I just basically have to steer the ship, which is, something that Larry taught me, get out of their way. If they know what they're doing, get out of their way. We basically work with the national Broadway tours and put together a full Broadway season. And in order to put that Broadway season together, we have to do lots of market research and industry research on what shows are touring, what would make sense in our market, what our people want to see. We go to New York and preview the shows, or we see them on the road. I just went to Chicago to preview the new Jesus Christ Superstar musical. So we have Tulsa, Oklahoma, Springfield, Missouri, Abilene and Amarillo, Texas. We've been in Lubbock, Texas for many, many years, and then Little Rock, Arkansas. The impact that we have on the quality of life in the communities that we bring Broadway to, and the economic impact that we have on the communities that we're in. If somebody buys a ticket to see one of our shows at the PAC, they're gonna go over to Utica Square and buy a new dress. Then they're gonna go downtown and eat at maybe one of Elliot Nelson's restaurants. They're gonna go out for drinks and dessert after the show. We love bringing that activity downtown, spreading that love around. I just think it's so important. We're just trying to grow. I would say our 35th anniversary season has Hamilton on it, and Hamilton has just definitely been a game changer for Broadway patrons and the Broadway industry. I joke that every day I'm like, okay, what would Larry do? That's the bracelet I need is what would Larry do? But he was such a fantastic mentor for me. I learned from the best. His priority was relationships, whether it be with sponsors or media or with the person sitting in the 5th row. I try to remember that and try to follow in his footsteps that way. When they offered me this job, this position in the company, there were two things that I considered. Am I going to make Larry proud, and am I going to make my daughter proud? I'm a single working mom, and I had somebody say, what a great role model you're going to be for your daughter to sit in that chair. And I thought, you know, those two things, and then leading the staff that I have, really, when I check out on Friday to go home for the weekend, if we don't have a show, I feel really good about.
Well, I like the idea of hanging around the PAC, but I still don't know why you want me to break my leg.
Oh, because I'm wishing you well. Doesn't that make perfect sense?
Well, I'm gonna Google that while you take a break, and we'll come right back to wrap up the show in a moment.
Take charge of your health. We are what we put into our bodies.
We approach medicine from a unique standpoint. Rather than treating only the symptoms of an illness, we work to find the root cause and promote wellness of the entire body.
Our clinic offers complete assessment and treatment programs, including hormone replacement therapy, osteopathic manipulative therapy, and genetic DNA testing. It all starts with a medical evaluation.
Contact us today to begin your path to wellness.
The box stores have come and gone, but Video Revolution is 35 years strong. Come see why. Video Revolution is the largest independent consumer electronics store in the region. For 35 years, we continue to have low prices and high customer service. Top brands like Sony, Samsung, LG, Yamaha, Sonos, Klipsch, and many more. Better than box stores in so many ways. Come experience the difference. The Video Revolution difference on the northwest corner of 71st and Lewis.
Well, that's our show for this week, and we want to thank you for spending time with us.
We couldn't do this without our sponsors, so we take a moment to say thanks to Drs. Michelle and Mark Sherwood at Functional Medical Institute, where whole body wellness begins with just one visit.
And to Dr. Zellner & Associates, Tulsa's best eye care value and still home with a $99 deal.
And to Video Revolution, where you'll find all your home and office technology solutions on the northwest corner of 71st and Lewis.
Don't forget that over 1,600 of our stories are on YouTube, the Explore Tulsa channel. That's a great place to go and do a little exploring on your own.
Our thanks also to this week's guests, Northwoods Fine Arts Academy, Santa Claus, LaFortune Tennis, and Kristen and staff at Celebrity Attractions.
We do 4 stories a week, 52 weeks a year, so we are always looking for interesting segments. If you know of someone we should talk to, connect with us. Email us or send us a message on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you.
That's all for now. We'll see you next time right here on Explore Tulsa.